Hey everybody, Dave Whitmarsh here. Sorry I got kicked out of my office, so if I have a bit of glare on me, forgive me. But been chatting with Henry Glickel here for over email and a couple of conversations over the last couple months, and got to know him a little bit. Not all that great, but certainly we'll know him better after this conversation. So excited to haven't had somebody in the agent uh, talent acquisition agency space for a while. So I'm looking forward to picking up this conversation. So good morning to you, Henry.
Morning. Thanks for having me on board.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you located?
Our office is located about 40 miles north of Boston. That's where our main office is. We have recruiters all over the United States, though,
Yeah.
from the West Coast to Rhode Island to New Jersey. So, and even in Chicago. So,
Awesome. And so you do business right across Canada or right across the US. That's awesome. And so how did you and how long and how did you uh get into the recruiting space?
it's interesting. When I got engaged, my wife at the time had an opportunity up here in the Boston area, and my first sales job, I was in accounting and finance, and then I wanted to get into sales. So sales recruiters placed my first sales job and my second sales job. My third sales job, I thought I knew it all, and I went with a company that unfortunately had their major competitors in the medical field were 3M and Zimmer and Olympus, and they were a Swiss company, great product, but tough play. And unfortunately, after 4 months, the company went out of business in the United States or had a major tenure issue, and so ended up going back to sales recruiters. And until I found a job, they said, "Well, why don't you be a recruiter?" I didn't know any better. I said, free phone. So I ended up going in, sitting at a desk, thinking I was just going to place myself at another job. I ended up liking recruiting and said, I don't want to go back into medical. I like doing this. So made my first placement in 19 days, and then two more, and month number two, loved it. Was on vacation. Was so excited about making two placements, forgot that I was on vacation, and that was back when you had calling cards. Really, cell phones weren't as cost effective per se. So really enjoyed it, loved it. That was about a year and a half later. The owners of the company said they were looking at retiring, and I purchased the firm from them, and kind of have been doing this ever since. 26 years. It's been great. I love
Wow.
it.
Yeah, well, good on you. It's always nice to do something else. So 26 years, you've seen some highs and lows along the way then, eh?
Yeah, we have. It's interesting. And I lived through the tech bubble, but at the time I was doing more B2B, so I didn't feel it too much. The '08 recession, that was a challenge, but we got through it. And but for the most part, we've been able to secure our clients, and they keep coming back, and that's the real benefit of it. You do good work for the companies, you find them good people, they tenure well, you're transparent with them. What I've found is when you do that, your clients will stay with you. So yeah, we've had some ups and downs, but we've never had a horrible year, but more like kind of certain like slightly down years, and then last barring the COVID year, which was a blip, but we were good through it. We shut down for 3 months, but other than that, and in 20 this year has been absolutely incredible. Biggest
Okay.
challenge is making sure we get the right clients and who have realistic expectations of the changing market for the candidates.
Yeah. There's it's it seems so weird. Literally in 2 years, your business went went one way and now it's one extreme to the other, right?
Hmm.
What a roller coaster. But is there anything? truthfully, there's lots of agencies out there, right? Is there anything that you guys do, any that's sort of niche or sort of specialty?
Well, our specialty is sales, but I think our approach is different. Most recruiting firms are it's many companies use 4 or 5 recruiting firms, and in using 4 or 5 recruiting firms, they think they're getting 100% of their attention. Most recruiters have 15, 20, 30, 40 jobs, and it's hard for a client to get traction. What usually ends up happening is somebody looks in their database, throws a couple of resumes at them, sees if they like them, and then it's a race to place. It's whoever gets the resume to them furthest. That's fine if you're looking for maybe the unemployed, the in between jobs, the unemployable, or maybe the performers. Our
Mhm.
approach is one where we pursue candidates on behalf of our clients, excuse me, um, on behalf of our clients that they're looking for individuals that are successful, have the experience, and are employed.
Yeah.
And those resumes are not on database. They're not on like uh, Career Builder, Monster Board, Indeed. Most of the they're on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn's like the yellow pages. There's 20 million people on LinkedIn. So
Mhm.
what we do is our approach is to really focus in on getting a really thorough job description, and then we ask lots of questions about corporate culture, successful people that are there, backgrounds, assessments, um, kind of workflow, work environment, the industry itself, and then from there we do a write up. More like it's not even a job ad. It's more like it's a reach out to the candidates that's more focused instead of on the job. It's more focused on what the job does for the candidate. What's in it
Mhm.
for them? Candidates only
Mhm.
want to know what's in it for them. They don't care what's in it for the company. Their primary concern is what's in it for them. So when we reach out to these individuals, upon reaching out to them, we find out from them, even before we talk about a job, we find out about their career aspirations, what they like about their company, what they want to change, industry changes, things that they want and where they see themselves in the future. Then when we feel from a conversation, and instead of looking at 6 or 7 resumes and just throwing them to the client, we have extended communications, outreach, sourcing, researching, and then we have extended conversations with anywhere between 20 to 30 people. Of those people, then we'll find the best 3 or 5, or well, we've had a couple clients where they were 11 and they hired 2, but for the most
Mhm.
part, it's probably 3 to 7. Then you present, and then we set up interviews for those. And usually, all the individuals we present usually can do the job and will do the job. It's just whether they'll fit in a corporate culture.
Right.
That's the biggest challenge of what most people have or face.
Yeah, and
And
especially
then,
when you're dealing with like sales, right? If you're in that sales space, you know, getting a hold of the culture is really a big connection. There's lots of different approaches into the sales market, and companies often have a different culture and a different methodology to sales. So
hmm
that could be a real vetting process, I would imagine.
yeah, it's a lot of work. An average will be from the time we get a job order to the time we set interviews for somebody, even before once we get engaged in the search. Let's say I'm just using an example. 3 weeks from today, we'll be presenting to you, and that puts us under some time pressure. And many times we'll say, listen, I know you gave us 5 interview slots. Can we get a couple of more, because there's a couple of candidates we came across at the end that we really liked that were late to the show because of travel and getting back to them. It takes an average of about 7 to 11 times before you're able to get a hold of somebody. Emails, texts.
Mhm.
That's why systems and technology are really important. It all comes down to people, process, and technology. Um, and sense of urgency. Those 4 things I think are critical in filling those jobs. And
Mhm.
but what we have found is, you know, throughout the vetting process, you'll find individuals are looking for, and then you look to see what the corporate match is. The toughest thing is when you find somebody who can do the job and they're willing to do the job, but they're just their mentality and their desires from a company's corporate culture is not a match. And that's where turnover comes in very quickly. Counteroffers, multiple offers, and corporate culture mismatch. And that's why the other thing that we do, we found is giving a longer guarantee. We've given our average, most of my business is engaged business. It's contingency with engagement, but I offer up to a 6-month guarantee. And
Wow.
people are amazed by that. But sometimes it takes that long for a salesperson to get up and running, and counteroffers come at 76 to about 95 days. But if you got a 30-day guarantee and they leave in 60 days, company's kind of out. And I did not want to have that kind of reputation. So we have made a very conscious decision as a company to really vet out the companies as much as we do the candidates. And many times we talk to companies and say, we can't help you based on compensation, based on culture, based that you want them going in the office 5 days a week, or other factors. And it's hard to say no, but what we realize is if we're going to dedicate, 3 people's time for an extended 40-50% of their billable hours, that you've got to make sure you got the right company, and that's critical, especially today where it's a candidate market.
From what I hear, if you put all that process in place and do all that vetting, there really shouldn't be anything to hide, right? You're not just like dropping a warm body in a seat and walking away. You said at the beginning of the conversation that most of your business is repeat, and you have that loyalty with your customers. So by you just start putting the equation together. You've been in the space for 26 years. Your process is very rigorous, and then your business is repeat. It only, the numbers, when you look at all the hires that you've done over the years, it's pretty safe to say, hey, most of our folks stay over 6 months. So, why not reassure the customer with that sort of satisfaction, and let them know that you're hiring in their best interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did I sum that up okay, Henry? I hate to.
I think you did a great job of summing up. Just a couple clarifications. We're not a retained search firm. We're an engaged search. It's contingency with commitment and exclusivity that we offer, that we give our clients. Number 2, we offer a 6-month replacement guarantee. That's really for mishires, quick mishires, and also, more importantly, counter offers that come. Our average tenure is higher, 18 months to 36 months is our average tenures. And our thoughts are, and the reason why we do that is because 80% of the time we fill the positions that our clients engage us for. And usually the other 20% of the time, the position gets on hold. Somebody internally wants to get promoted. The position maybe gets moved from, let's say, one territory to another. So, technically we didn't fill it, but we end up working on filling the other one. I would tell you 94.5% of the time, because of our process, we were able to identify candidates and present candidates to the company. And most recruiting firms are about, on a contingency, the historical contingency is about 18, and if they're good, maybe 22%. I don't like filling 1 out of every 5 positions. My viewpoint is I don't spend all this effort not to fill the position. That's why if it's not above 80%, we are really dismayed, and we work to strive to get above that.
So let's So I think we have a pretty good understanding about you, your process, and your firm. Um, so let's talk a bit about what you're seeing in the space. Like what's happening, and where do you see it going? How long? Any trends, predictions?
Couple things. Number one, generational variations and preferences are more apparent now than they've ever been. Individuals who are under 30 years old have different desires and career development than individuals who are, let's say, 45 and above. I am placing, by the way, more 45 plus year old individuals than I've ever had before, because companies are really recognizing the the maturity, the experience, and they're looking for stability. They're not just running after the latest and greatest thing. They're looking for companies that have good footing, good foundations, and just want really good salespeople. And there are certain industries that are facing significant challenges. B2B, door to door, they're having very strong issues. What we're seeing, companies that are centered around technology, um, IT, SaaS software, not as much as hardware. Industrial, consumer products are strong. Services are strong. But the B2B office products, tough place to be right now.
Mhm.
Um, and also, we don't do like multi-level marketing or retail sales, so we really can't comment on our experience in relation to that. However, what we have found is that those other core industries are expanding. And so that's number one. Their industries are very specific. Number two, the more progressive companies are creating for individuals that are new to sales, like they're starting them off and promote and creating promotable tracks at 6 to 12 month intervals that basically give individuals they hire up to basically 3 years. They're in a promotable track with increased accountability, increased maybe client complexity, and then the last thing is moving to other opportunities in the company. And and it's costing me money because in reality, those higher level positions, I'm not placing as many, but we're creating farm teams or we're creating developmental individuals that can move up in the company. And as I say to people, if you hire and promote, if you hire and then you create a promotable track and promote from within, individuals will see that, they'll recognize it, and they'll be less likely to leave.
It's so I know we have to roll pretty quick, but I'm really curious to when you talk about company culture. Is there a noticeable difference that you're finding between you mentioned the 45 plus versus the younger? Is there a noticeable difference on these salespeople wanting to work with the right companies based off of culture, um, based on
hmm
age?
Um, I think culture is age agnostic. Culture is the culture. It could be a very intense environment. It could be more of a relaxed environment. It could be more of a collaborative environment. I mean, there's corporate culture is it's a very general term, but it encompasses about 6 or 7 items. But
Mm,
what you'll find is that individuals who, for example, it's not the culture that's enticing maybe to the older individuals, but it's more like the company's persona.
mhm,
Things like um, their um, their standard in the market. Um, I think training is important. People are looking for training. They're looking for mentorships. People go to work for managers or bosses. They're not going to work for a company. 95% of people don't get enamored with a name. They fall in love or they really want the company because of the manager or the people they're interviewing with, and we're seeing a lot of that. Um,
mhm.
that kind of mentality. So it's not, it's more age agnostic, but you're looking for the culture, aspects of the culture that may that resonate more to others. You know, not everybody, you know, right now, not everybody wants to go to work for the latest and greatest pre-IPO technology companies,
Right.
because there's some real dangers in there. Number one, you know, is, you know, they may not be able to promote as fast. If there's maybe limited resources and allocation, and that can have an effect on an individual. Individuals who the other thing, I think it's not related to culture, but individuals who are less experienced, maybe new college grads or individuals with less than 5 years experience, can more likely take a risk. But
Hmm.
however, it used to be 3 to 5 years in a position or a company. Now, 18 months,
Wow.
especially in technology. I mean,
Hmm.
people are jumping, and companies are like, hey, if they get 18 months, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, and that's that. Those are the things that I'm seeing in
Yeah.
relating to that
Good.
corporate culture.
That's very good. Any parting shots before we wrap it up?
Um, I think in the next year, it's still going to be a candidate market. The Great Resignation that everyone's talking about, um, it's there's more people are retiring, which is taking people out of the candidate pool, and unfortunately, um, uh, there's not enough people to fill the positions. So I think what's going to happen is companies, instead of having 7 to 11 candidates to choose from, are going to be choosing from 1 to 3 candidates. And also, clients I found the most successful in the work that we're doing is there is a story to tell, and we're telling that story. And the companies are getting much better at kind of talking about what they bring to the table and why it would be good for people to come and work for them, instead of, why do you want to work for my company?
Hmm.
You're recruiting a candidate, they go, I don't know why I want to work for your company. I talked to Henry, we went through this, and this, and these are things that I'm looking for. Well, companies now, instead of saying, why do you want to work for me, they're saying, these are the Henry discussed with me that you're looking for A, B, C, and D. Let me tell you why I think our company has A, B, C, and D. And they may
Hmm.
only have A, B, and C. But what happens is those people turn the candidates around, and the candidates want to work for their companies, versus the very reluctant, vigilant, cautious people have issues in making that transition and landing the candidate of choice.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So if anybody's interested, if you're depending on your media, I guess, what you're listening to or watching this on, I'll provide links and contact information if you're interested. But if you just listen to audio, how might they get a hold of you, Henry?
Sure.
And go ahead.
Sure. First of all, I'm on LinkedIn, Henry Glickel, and if you send me a LinkedIn invitation, I will accept. Just mention that you saw this video. Number 2, you can email me at henry@salesrecruiters.com, HENRY at SALESRECRUITERS.com, or my phone number, 603-894-0007, extension 215.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing more and talking to you later, Henry. Thank you very much for your time.
No, David, thank you very much. It's funny, as I've watched your videos, and getting a chance to be part of it is really it's a kudo, or a feather in my cap, and I'm really excited that you were chiseled out some time. And my hope is that there's some valuable information here for hiring managers and companies in understanding today's environment.
Yeah. Well, and if I don't reach out to you, make sure you reach out to me once the market changes, so we can get a little update on the trends.
Absolutely. And if there's other market trends also prior to any change in the market, but any words of advice, I'll be happy to send you some information. If you feel there's another session due in the future, we'd be happy to provide.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Henry. Have
You're
yourself a
welcome.
great day.
Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.